Hello everyone, I'm Kristen Bomas, and joining me today is Valentina Moretti. She is an attorney. She is not currently practicing in the United States, but she is working with a PI firm locally. And she comes today with some questions of her own.
Yes, thank you.
What would you like to talk about today?
Well, today I was thinking about something that happened to me today. When you are expecting something to happen, but it goes totally the other way. And I've been thinking about, and the more I thought about that particular thing, I was like, this is a silver lining. This is a blessing in disguise. Yes. So, and then I know I was coming here to talk to you. I'm like, this is exactly what I want to ask her. How many times we get upset because we didn't get it the way we thought it was going to be the best for us. Right. And sometimes we don't even think it's best for us. It's just what we want.
Yes, yes.
And we cannot see further.
Yes.
And then 1 week, 1 day, 1 hour, 1 year later, it's like, oh my God, imagine what would have happened if that didn't occur.
Right.
So
it's such a fascinating question because I think everybody has been through this. I can't imagine you haven't been through this yourself, right? So there are two things that go in right off the bat. One, it's our ego that really wants us to have what we want, right? And so that ego is kind of driving the train at that time. And it says, okay, I want things to go this way. And when it doesn't go that way, then we take a bruise to the ego and we're like, oh. And now we're kind of in that pouty place of where are we going to go? What are we going to do? And we don't think in terms of the silver lining. So we can talk more about that, and we will. The second part that I think we can also talk about is when it doesn't go well and we start the pouting, we stop imagining that it's in our life with great purpose. And if we can bring that to the forefront, we can then surrender into the rhythm of life and ride the wave. Right? So that concept of surrender in life, I think, is so critically important because we think of surrender as a giving up. But when we talk about that in a spiritual sense, we're really looking at the ability to lean back on life and understand life wants us to have the best for us in this lifetime, whatever that is. Whatever we came here to experience, life is going to push us down that path if we allow it. It'll actually carry us. It will not push us. It's not a force. It's actually just a carry. So it's interesting when we can't see the silver lining. It is because the ego is in the way, and we want what we want. And that's not unusual. Every single one of us have been in those shoes before. But you're right. Years down the road, we look back and say, holy cow, had it gone the way I wanted to, I wouldn't be where I am today, and it could be a whole new ballgame. Mm-hmm. So how do we step back into that and see the silver lining? And it's also interesting because even though we're not putting this into the question at this time, I think we need to come back at some point in our talk today and talk a little bit about manifestation, because what are we doing at that point? Like, what did we do in our own life to bring us to this point, right? Where what we thought was going to go this way went that way. You know, what is that about as well? There's something about ourselves that we can learn in that point. The silver lining is wonderful. If you could have a wish when you came to that place, what would you, how do you see it unfolding, the silver lining? Like that question, like how would you know?
That is a silver lining?
Yes. Like if you could have a wish, what would you say would happen at that moment when you thought you were going to go this way and you went that way?
I think like I would love to be grateful before knowing what's going to happen.
Okay.
To be mindful, that to know that I'm here to succeed. And I don't know if the word succeed, to live, to enjoy, to be joyful, and whatever happened, it's taking me closer to that fulfillment.
Yeah.
That's the word I was looking for.
Yes.
Fulfillment in the whole spectrum. I mean, the whole thing, in all aspects, right? Uh-huh. Because sometimes we only focus on our careers or the profession or on that job or on that opportunity, and we forget other parts of our whole.
Yes.
right? So I think that I would like to think that the wish will be, this is taking me closer to where I really need to be and be me.
Right. That's a beautiful wish. So if you could, so the wish is to, even at the times when things go left instead of right, that you go, oh, okay, great. I can't wait to see where this is going to take me because I'm sure it's going to show me the way to blah, blah, blah. Okay. Greater fulfillment, we'll say.
Right. So funny, I got the answer today to what triggered this conversation. And I call her man and I say, I have some news for you. My ego is a little hurt. Like, please give me some love tonight. But I'm so happy this happened this way.
Right.
I knew it immediately. So that sense, that feeling that, yes, I didn't get it, but it's not really what I wanted. My ego is the one telling me like, oh, you didn't get it. But immediately I was like almost relief.
Yeah. Well, that probably intuitively you knew there was some sort of a push in there somewhere that was not as comfortable as you would have liked it to have been.
Maybe.
So I would definitely take the time to look at that inside. Like, what was that relief about? It's going to give you a tremendous amount of information about what was hidden underneath. May also just unveil the limiting beliefs. Yeah, I wish it was unlimiting beliefs. The limiting beliefs that were inside that you were holding on to, that which would take us back to the manifestation point, right? So when we look at, I'm going to go full circle back to the question at hand, which is, if we are looking at the silver lining, if we can do exactly what you did, right? If we can bring ourselves to a place in life, and it requires trust. And for many people, there is a breakdown in their ability to trust, trusting in life, trusting in others. And so that breakdown in trust is going to be a bit of a challenge at this point and something that would need to be addressed at this point. But what you want to do is trust in the process. You did that when you called her man and you said, hey, this is blah, blah, blah. There was some part of you trusting in the process. That trust leads to the act of surrender. Okay, I don't know what's going to happen as a result of this, but I'm going to trust in life and see how things unfold going forward. And be very, very grateful that I'm on this new path. There's something that is awaiting me and I don't know what it is. So now we have to get past that fear of the unknown, because what I thought I knew and what was going to happen would have taken me where I knew and could predict. This may be taking me to a place I can't predict, and that leaves me also a little off balance. And so I really want to be comfortable in the absence of knowing what's coming down the chute. And again, that's going to take some trust and the ability to lean against life, knowing that life is going to open the right doors, whatever that means, right?
Yeah. So I've been thinking about this all day. So it's like, okay, this is something. It was something small. It wasn't nothing major. Maybe some people say like, oh yeah, okay, tell me an example, because I was waiting for that call to tell me I got a new job or promotion or whatever it was, or the job that you were needing in that moment because you were out of a job at the moment. It's more difficult, is what I'm trying to say. So the answer I got to myself today, it's my ego, it's fun, it's okay, nothing major. But to have that sense of knowing it was correct with stuff that are bigger.
Gotcha. Okay, so today was not big, but if it was big, like I lost my job, or I needed a job, or a career change, or what have you, how do I hold on to the same feeling? It's interesting, because when you broaden the question like that, what we have to understand is each of us has our own challenges in this lifetime, and that's by design. We have them.
I love when you say that. It's by design. I love it.
Because people try so hard to fight against that. But if we can lean into our challenges, right? So when those things happen and they're on a larger scale, by design, it's there to help us through several aspects of life. It could be, again, trust issues, believing in yourself. If it's a job issue, believing in yourself. Maybe you had a really miserable boss or a really miserable environment that you were struggling to stay with and kind of keep it all together. And then everything falls apart, and your first inkling is to panic, say, oh my God, how am I going to pay my bills? What am I going to do? My world is falling apart. And then you take a deep breath and you get another job and you go, oh my God, I am in so much better an environment. I love the people with whom I work. I love what I'm doing. This is great, right? So you make that transition. So how do we know the doors are going to open? It's funny because
They will always open.
if you can lean back, they open faster. And the flip side is true as well, right? If you had to fire somebody, right?
Yeah.
You would dread that. But what if you could see the silver lining in that? Right? You're not doing anything bad. If you're staying true to the integrity of yourself and the business, you're not doing anything bad. You're offering the greatest good to the person in front of you.
Absolutely.
Right?
Yeah.
We don't know why it has to happen this way in their life or ours, but you have to let them go. So even for you letting them go, can you see the silver lining? Can you trust in the rhythm of life to carry both of you through in the direction you need to go to make your lives better? Both of your lives better. In which case, is it as difficult to let them go?
No.
Not at all.
No.
Because now you know there's really a gift that you're offering them. It might be in an ugly package, but it is a beautiful gift on the inside of the ugly package.
Beautiful,
and they just
yeah.
have to see it. So yes, that silver lining is really, really important. I think it's an important piece for all of us to remember. And as you're listening to this, I hope you're thinking about your own life and how many times that panic, that fear, that anxiety rose to the surface. And then as you looked back upon that time in your life, you saw it worked out really well. And it does. Now, I'm going to do a disclaimer to that.
Okay.
There are people who suffer through the idea of suffering. So they hold that feeling of, it happened to me again, look, it's again, look, it's again, look, it's again. And when they're in that pattern, that rhythm, that flow of being destroyed over and over and over and over again, they're not going to see the silver lining because it doesn't fit in the pattern. Does that make sense? So they're going to suffer much more with that concept of it happened to me versus it's happening and what's it going to show me. It's as simple, it's happening to me, and boom, they get the feeling of being defeated and controlled and held back. And that suffering is something then that you want to step back and ask yourself where that pattern originated and give yourself the opportunity to heal. There are a few things that you would want to go through to heal that pattern so that you can then step in and see that everything has a silver lining. If it was meant to destroy you, it would have done so already. It wouldn't be over and over and over and over again. That's the way life works, right? So if it's something that's happening over and over, the pattern it's showing you something. It's speaking to you. It's saying you need to heal an aspect of your own self. When it's an individual situation, you lean back and you could see, oh, this was my ego. It's a little bruised. But I'm going to be okay. We're going to move forward and it's going to be awesome. You know, this is just another kind of a tweaking of your magic, as I like to call it.
Yeah.
That ability to lean against life.
So what about, we have a saying, and I think we have the saying also in English, is like when one door closes, many windows open, right?
Yes.
And I'm really looking forward to see what those windows.
Isn't that a great way to
Yes.
see it? I know. It's like, okay, so this just shut. And if this was this big in my world, that means the windows are going to be, 5 times as many. Gateways could open. You don't even. And let me also say this, because when each of us can be as willing to lean into the rhythm of life as you are, that energy opens those doors faster, right? The resistance isn't there. The hesitation, the suffering isn't there. If we can trust that life is going to open greater doors and take us to a greater place, then it's going to do so faster. Where we hesitate, where we're fearful, we slow that magic down, right? And that's where manifestation really starts to get understood at a day-to-day, hour-to-hour basis. That when we are sitting in that flow, because remember, life is set up to be a flow of abundance, right? In everything. So life is made to have abundance in everything. Where we don't have abundance, where in any place where we've stepped out of the flow of abundance and we're seeing lack in any way, we have a challenge inside us that has to be mastered. Now, we will choose to master it or not, but that's why we have that experience. So when we lean back and say, okay, show me life, what more you're going to offer me here, then all of a sudden we're opening the doors to the abundance rather than staying stuck in the lack, right? And that then goes back to how we're manifesting. So if you were not able to do that, the question then would be, what's the pattern and what are you manifesting in this life that brought that upon you? In this case, you were manifesting a dream. This might have been in the way of your dream, and because you're solid in your footing of wanting to be at this point and didn't realize you were trying to get to this point with your what you wanted, life switched the direction so that you could continue forward. So it always is going to come back to the inside of you, right? What are you putting out there? What are you believing in wholeheartedly? And what are you putting your intention, your emotion, your wisdom into as you speak it to life itself? Then life can, whatever you call life, universe, angels, God, spirit, whatever you want to call it, it's going to give back to you, right? And it's going to give it to you in a way that takes you where you need to go. You just have to trust in the process.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I love it.
I do too. That's a great topic. I love it. I hope everybody has really enjoyed what has been put on the table. Do you have any other thoughts?
No. Thank you. I think it's sometimes it takes a while to see that silver
Yes.
lining. It's not clear. It's like, oh my gosh, I've been working so hard. I've been pushing. Everything has been going, and then
Poof.
nothing happens. And then you are like, what? How can? Why? Why?
I so get that.
We
So
were
get
so
that.
close,
I
and
know,
now,
I know,
right?
I know,
So,
I know, I
and
know, I
then
know.
you see your life unfold.
If you can understand that whole process that you just went through in your mind, that we go through those phases of, we have to really ask ourselves at those times where that doubt inside us is coming from as well, that hesitancy and that doubt. There's something that is occurring inside that kind of tightens us up inside and makes us go, oh no. And there's a history there.
You talked about this earlier, just a few minutes ago, when we have to ask ourselves if we are in a pattern, right? But when you feel that defeat,
Yes.
how hard is to get out of there?
Yes. And I would start with asking where the defeat, this is going to sound silly, but where the defeat comes from. And I don't mean in this particular situation, but what made it feel like defeat? Were you working so hard for a particular outcome? And was that expectation anchored to something? Right? If I'm expecting an outcome and the outcome is connected to a dream, and the dream is to have 1,000 people at a speaking event. So I'm back here, I'm back at ground zero, and we're building a local speaking gathering, and only 10 people show. And I feel, oh my God, this can't be. So we do it again, and only 20 people show, and I feel defeated because I see that it's just not working, no matter what we do, it's just not working. But what if what we were doing was never going to get us to the larger group? So life was giving us the smaller and the smaller groups to say, look at yourself, look at what's going wrong, and be willing to jump off of what you're doing and do something completely different, right? So even in that situation where it's kind of saying, you may feel defeated at this point, but if you ask, where's that coming from? And you look back and you say, gosh, I've been doing this over and over and over again, and it's just not giving me the results. I don't understand why life isn't just rewarding me for what I'm doing. Stop asking it that way. What do I need to do in order to be successful, to be rewarded, to be able to move forward towards my dream? Because life isn't thwarting the dream. It's trying to speak to you there. What do you need to do to get out of this pattern that led to defeat? So there's your silver lining. Switch it over, do something different, and boom, there you are.
There you are.
Does that help with that question?
Yeah.
Okay. I hope that was clear for everybody that's listening. I hope that was clear for you listening out there, because I do want you to understand that in your own life, everything happens with purpose. And you can absolutely find a way to find the silver lining as long as you can move through the patterns.
Thank you.
Thank you. I really appreciate everyone. May this week be filled with silver linings for each and every one of you. And until next time, may the magic be yours. Thank you so much for joining me. And please visit KristenBomas.com, where you can easily access all of my social circles.